All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. This is by far the worst stretch of baseball in the long and storied history of the Chicago White Sox. After losing 101 games last year, the White Sox have already eclipsed that as they've lost more than 100 games this season. And guess what? It's still August. And as bad as things have been for the White Sox, it's about to get worse because they are flirting with being on the wrong side of baseball history. With a current record of 31 and 104, Chicago is on pace for the most losses in a single season in the modern era of baseball. This mark was achieved, if you will, by the 1962 New York Mets, who were an expansion team in their first year of existence. And the Mets that year went 40 and 120. The White Sox this year have a puncher's chance, if you will, to surpass that mark, as this team has only managed to win 31 games so far this season. And to give you an idea of that, most Major League Baseball teams play 27 games each month of the regular season. So you look at Chicago, and I mean, they've been bad all season long, but it's gotten real bad here in the second half of the season. The White Sox have only won 4 games since the All-Star break. So that's 4 games in about the last 6 weeks. The White Sox already have a losing streak of 14 games under their belt this season, another one of 21, and their current streak right now, which is at 7, following their loss today to the Texas Rangers. Now, before the season even began, okay, I thought that the White Sox were going to be hard pressed to win 60 games. I really thought it was going to be difficult to do that, meaning they were going to lose at least 100. Then, as the season progressed, you gave them the benefit of the doubt for maybe 50. But the way things are going right now for the White Sox, I think 40 games might be a reach at this point. And you know what? It's just one of those things, man. It's a crying shame. And I truly mean this. What has happened to this franchise? Like I've been saying all season long, the folks on the South Side, the fans on the South Side that love and support this team deserve better than this. And I've talked about it, and I'm going to continue saying it. It's a doggone shame that Major League Baseball continues to allow White Sox team owner Jerry Reinsdorf to operate this franchise in the fashion that it is. There is no reason for a big market club like the White Sox to be this bad. Nobody wants to go out there and support this product, and you cannot blame them. Okay, it's one of those. I know the NFL is about to kickstart in a couple of days. There's a lot of optimism for the Chicago Bears this season after they took quarterback Caleb Williams first overall. But you know, the baseball fans in Chicago, they really have not had a lot to cheer about this summer, and of course, the White Sox simply ain't helping that. From the outside looking in, you would ask yourself, is there any hope for the White Sox? And I mean, at this point, you gotta, the optimist in you has to say, you know what, it cannot get any worse than what it is. I mean, this franchise is at rock bottom, and I've been saying it for quite some time now. The White Sox, they just need new blood, and I'm not talking about players. I'm talking about management, and I'm also talking about ownership. I think Jerry Reinsdorf has literally run this franchise into the ground, and it is terrible. It's one of those where if you're a fan of a team and you're facing the White Sox, all you can say at this point is you hope that your team that you're cheering for can go out there and take care of their business. You would also hope, if you're a fan of the White Sox, maybe in the last month of the season, we'll see some progress due to the fact that, you know, with the call ups, you know, guys are playing for spring training invites next year. Guys are trying to latch on with other teams. Maybe they can go out there and try to compete. Maybe they can go out there and catch a team napping. That's the only optimism that you have. But again, this White Sox team ain't winning 50 games. Okay, and they ain't winning 45 games either. And you look at it, they're at 104 losses right now. That 120 mark by the Mets in 62 is very attainable. You could say at the very least, and this is, you know, being somewhat optimistic on it, if you will, the White Sox are going to lose easily 115 games. And the last team in the modern era that lost 115 games, or at least 115 games in a season, not too long ago, was the Baltimore Orioles, as they lost 115 back in 2018. We saw the Tigers lose 114 in 2019. And then we saw the Tigers, oh gosh, that year was terrible. Back in 2003, just thinking about it, they lost 119 games. But if you're a White Sox fan, you could say, you know what? We saw the Tigers hit rock bottom in 2003, and by 2006, they were in the World Series. We saw those Orioles lose 115 games 6 years ago, and last year they made the playoffs. And the Orioles are definitely going to make the playoffs this year. Maybe they win the division again. We got to wait and see. So if you're a White Sox fan, that's the best you could say. But Jerry Reinsdorf has really just run this team in the ground. He wants a new stadium, flirting, throwing the idea about moving this team out of the great city of Chicago. And it's just unfortunate what happens when you have a good franchise run by people who do not have the best interest of the franchise, the fans, or the city involved. Nonetheless, this season cannot end quick enough if you are the Chicago White Sox. It's been very painful for their fan base, and it's going to be even more painful because I really do think that the White Sox are going to catch the Mets for that unfortunate mark. That's the way it is. This is the equivalent of what you're seeing right now with the White Sox. This is the equivalent of failing to win 10 games in an NBA season. This is the equivalent of going 1 and 16 or even worse as an NFL franchise. We've seen teams go 1 and 15. We've seen teams go 1 and 0 and 16. But at some point, somebody's going to go 1 and 16 or worse in this new 17 game NFL season. And nonetheless, for the Chicago White Sox, this is as bad as it gets. Is there any end in sight? I'm not sure, especially on the watch of one Jerry Reinsdorf. But nonetheless, I keep saying this, and I'm going to keep saying this. Chicago, the White Sox, their beloved fans, everybody deserves better than what we're seeing from the Pale Hose right now. So, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank all of you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you haven't already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on the X, formerly known as Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it will be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. Now you can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin, and I am signing off. And I'm saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.